네, 안녕하세요. 대한민국 중소벤처기업부와 세계적인 AI 기업인 오픈AI와의 합동 프로그램으로 운영될 프로젝트인 K-스타트업 오픈AI 매칭데이의 사전 설명회에 참석하신 여러분들을 환영합니다. 저는 이번 K-스타트업 앤 오픈AI 매칭데이의 운영사인 펜벤처스코리아의 송명수입니다. 오늘 사전 설명회 진행을 맡게 되었습니다. 먼저 오늘 참석하신 분들을 간단히 소개해 드리도록 하겠습니다. 중소벤처기업부 미래산업전략팀의 강기삼 팀장님 자리해 주셨습니다. 그리고 오픈AI의 글로벌 전략파트장 제임스 헤어스톤, 마지막으로 기술협력파트장인 로건 킬패트릭이 함께 자리해 주셨습니다. Everyone say hello to our entrepreneurs, please. 예, 오늘 사전 설명회는 중소벤처기업부 미래산업전략팀 강기삼 팀장님의 본 행사의 소개 및 인사 말씀에 이어 오픈AI 글로벌 정책부서장인 제임스 헤어스턴, 그리고 기술협력파트장인 로건 킬패트릭의 오픈AI 소개 및 당 프로그램 설명이 진행될 예정이고요. 마지막으로 예비 창업자들 및 창업기업 여러분들께서 궁금해하실 만한 내용에 대한 질의응답으로 이어질 예정입니다. 먼저 강기삼 팀장님의 인사 말씀은 한글로 진행될 예정이고요. 이후 세션은 영어로 진행될 예정이 참고 부탁드리겠습니다. 그럼 지금부터 중소벤처기업부 강기삼 팀장님의 인사 말씀으로 사전 설명회를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 팀장님 부탁드리겠습니다.
예, 안녕하십니까. 중소벤처기업부 미래산업전략팀장 강기삼입니다. 저희 중소벤처기업부에서는 지난 6월 9일 오픈 AI와 간담회를 개최한 바 있습니다. 간담회에서 많은 스타트업들이 오픈 AI와의 협력과 그리고 그 협업을 희망함에 따라 저희 부에서는 오픈 AI와의 협업 프로그램 추진을 위해 노력해 왔고요. 다행히 오픈 AI와의 협의가 잘 마무리돼서 12월 13일, 14일 양일간 오픈 AI 협업 프로그램을 개최하게 되었습니다. 저희가 수요일에 게시한 공고문에 나와 있는 것처럼 오픈 AI 협업 프로그램은 한국, 미국에서 2번 개최되며 한국 행사에서는 서류 평가를 통해 40개 업체를 선발한 다음 대면 평가에서 14개 업체를 선발할 예정이고 14개 업체가 미국 행사에 참여해서 최종 오픈AI 협업 기업을 선발할 예정입니다. 오픈AI 협업 프로그램은 분야별로 오픈AI API를 활용해서 신규 비즈니스를 제안하는 API 활용 분야와 신산업 기술과 AI 기술을 융합해서 새로운 비즈니스를 제안하는 협업 분야로 구분하여 선발할 예정입니다. 그 밖에 자세한 내용은 공고문을 참조해 주시기 바라며 오픈AI 협업에 대한 세부 내용은 잠시 후에 오픈AI 임원분들께서 자세하게 설명을 드릴 예정입니다. 오픈AI 협업 프로그램에 관심을 가져주셔서 감사드리며 저희 중소벤처기업부는 국내 AI 유망 스타트업들이 글로벌 경쟁력을 갖춘 AI 기업으로 성장할 수 있도록 지속적으로 노력하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
창업가 여러분들께 격려가 되는 인사 말씀 감사드립니다. 지금부터는 영어로 진행된 점 참고 부탁드리겠습니다. Okay, next we'll have one more greetings and introduction from OpenAI's International Policy Head, James Harrison, and Developer Advocacy Member, Logan Kilpatrick. I'm going to pass mic to James and Logan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of OpenAI, we are just thrilled to be here and participate on this really exciting work with the startups here represented in Korea. This is an exciting time to build on top of these tools, to be in this field, and we truly believe as OpenAI, one of the best times ever to be a startup. With just exciting advancements in the capabilities of these tools, with global excitement at every level of the sort of developer and entrepreneurial ecosystem, and new possibilities being unlocked and new energy sort of all around the globe. And it's really exciting to see that channeled here in Korea, where technology moves so fast and really sets the tone for so much of the rest of the world. And so we're just excited to begin this journey with all of you. So on behalf of OpenAI, just really happy to be here. Look forward to sort of the next rounds, and I'll pass it to my colleague Logan.
Yeah, James, that's so well said. I think the only thing that I'll add in is building off of your comment around it's, there really has never been a better time to be in the startup space. If you look at sort of the pace of innovation of what's happening because of these tools today, and really how you can take a really, really small group of people and build something meaningful and go and compete against a lot of really, really large companies using this technology. And we've seen that there's been a massive explosion in the number of companies that are building in this space. And I think it's super important to have companies that are building and thinking about the problems that their own country has, and also looking globally at what some of the other problems that other countries are trying to solve, and thinking about how can you give a different perspective on those problems. So I'm really excited to chat more today and see what folks are building in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. We look forward to making powerful and meaningful collaboration between OpenAI and the startups and the pre-entrepreneurs here in Korea to be selected through this event. Lastly, let me ask you a few questions that many participants might be curious about. So, would it be okay with you, James and Logan?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm happy to answer.
Okay, the first question is the future business direction after OpenAI. What kind of service will OpenAI develop and deliver in the near future?
Yeah, maybe I'll start and sort of take this one. It's actually really timely that we're having this discussion today because in just a few days' time, on November 6th, this coming Monday Pacific time in San Francisco, we have our first annual Developer Day conference where we are going to be talking about sort of the updates to the major features that we have, sort of the future roadmap of the company and of our core products. So I won't spoil any of what's to come on Monday, but I do hope all of the startups here, folks who are tuned in, sort of give that conference a watch, because we will be talking about sort of where we're taking our products, sort of future areas of work in core safety and the capabilities of tools, areas that we're exploring for the long term, and of course the work that we want to do with developers. But the products that we've continued to iterate on, we can assure you there'll be some really exciting updates to those projects. We'll talk about some of the great work that continues to go on out in the field, and that's coming up in a few days' time. So stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of really great stuff coming up at that first annual developers conference on Monday.
Sounds interesting. What about the Logan? If there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I think James hit the nail on the head. No spoilers here today, but I do think like the general trend of this technology, and if you look at the high level overview of how we've done our releases in the past, it's introducing new modalities, making things faster, and making them less expensive for developers so that more people can use them. And I think that general trend has continued. If you've paid close attention to the releases we've done for developers in the past, it generally tends to follow that trend. So I'm super excited to see people's reactions. But that's all you'll get out of me.
That's good. Thank you for your answer. Let me ask you next question. The question is, what are the global companies that OpenAI has been interested in so far? And how did OpenAI collaborated with those companies with the big corporate or mid-sized companies?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I think collaborating globally with a bunch of different partners is super important for us. I think the scope of this technology, again, taking a step back and thinking about why does OpenAI exist? The whole reason is to make sure that this technology benefits humanity. It's not specific to certain countries. So the sort of pressure is always on us to make sure that we're getting out and working with different organizations outside the US where we're based. I don't have any. I think I was looking for some good examples of, or thinking earlier today about good examples for folks who we've collaborated with. I think a really interesting one is, and this is available on the OpenAI website if folks want to learn more about it. But actually, the country of Iceland, and doing some translation work with them. Really, really interesting case study to read about, like some of the challenges that they're facing and how they're using GPT-4 to help solve some of those things. So a very interesting use case. I'll also say that I think there's opportunity for like more collaboration. I think that's one of the continued trends. If you follow closely, like so many people are using this AI technology today. And so many more companies are starting to work with us. I think there's never been a better time. I think very historically, it's been difficult in some contexts to work with OpenAI because there's been so much inbound interest, and it's just taken a little bit of time to scale up our team so that we can actually help everybody who's really excited about this technology. So excited for next year, the rest of this year, where we just have a larger team that can help people.
Sounds good. Sounds good. James, anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Logan was spot on, and I would just point folks to the portion of the website that has the sort of customer success stories like Iceland and sort of these other case studies of just where folks have taken our tools and our services and have really matched them to their mission. And I think if there's anything that stands out in sort of looking at that entire corpus is it's not limited to any one sector or field of expertise. I think there are just all sorts of problems to be solved that need these types of tools, and we are excited to sort of learn about those, as they are developing, and hopefully inspire that sort of work in new places as well.
Thank you. So let's move to the next question. As you know that in Korea, the tons of that the future promising startups in the deep tech side, actually, especially for the robotics, system chips, and future mobility and clean tech. So what is OpenAI's most interested in the field or area, if we can comment? And then it can be edge computing or maybe data collection related companies or something like that. So what is the most that the interesting area you're seeing?
Yeah, this is another good question. I'll perhaps take the first shot at it. I think edge computing is super exciting. I think there's a bunch of challenges with OpenAI doing edge computing, and a lot of that stems from the fact that it just takes really, really large computers to run the models, which oftentimes requires centralizing those resources somewhere. It's not that I don't think that edge computing will work eventually. It probably will in some capacity, but today at least we're not doing a ton of it just because of the inherent limitations of the models. I think there's a lot of and we're actually seeing this now. There's been a slight a lot of the initial use cases around this technology was really focused on software as a service product, just because that's usually the fastest thing for developers to build. Now we're seeing a bunch of companies that are sort of pushing into the consumer product space, like physical consumer product space, using this technology. I think probably the third step in this evolution is going to be a lot of harder tech problems, and robotics is probably one of those. But you could really imagine robotic systems, like general purpose robotic systems, leveraging this technology to interact with people, to see the world, to all those things that make robotics really, really difficult. You can imagine a lot of those being solved using a general purpose language model potentially.
Continue to be really interested in the sorts of work by companies that, just solve problems at different layers of a technological stack, whether it's for an enterprise, or for sort of a socially responsive use case. And so I think, again, these, the types of tools that are being built today are especially well positioned to sort of reduce whether it's time to produce code and iterate on it, or to sort of check and verify, information with humans in the loop, or, when combined with physical hardware, as Logan was talking about with robotics, to be able to sense and provide additional information. So, really, I think the terrain is pretty greenfield for finding these novel uses and, reducing the time and cost and the resources needed to solve very big problems out in the world.
Okay, thank you. Recently, actually, I had the chance to read, the Harvard Business Review article on about the, that generative AI. The topic was, for example, how to capitalize on generative AI and helping employees succeed with generative AI. And the other topic was keep your AI project on track, something like that. It's very interesting. So let me ask you one more question. The question is OpenAI's view on trends and prospects in AI technology field. How do you think AI technology is expected to evolve? and adopted in the real field?
Yeah, maybe I'll kick off here. I think it will take a lot of surprising turns that are, that we can't predict today, whether it's in sort of, some leaps that may happen in terms of the underlying hardware or compute. We may run into bottlenecks in some places, both on the hardware and software side that we don't anticipate today. One of the things I've heard our CEO, Sam Allman, talk about is this idea that there are so many problems out in the world that need talented programmers or that need code. There's sort of a code debt, as it were, out in the world. And so I think there are problems that we think intuitively, these tools will be applied to, and it will be applied to many of those, and will sort of advance, sort of progress, in surprising ways. There will be, challenges that come through these tools, and certainly on the global affairs and public policy teams, we're thinking about, sort of how to build safety and governance mechanisms to get ahead of those. And then there's this sort of bucket of just unexpected developments and things that people will do, and places that generative AI will evolve, ways that it will be combined or form sort of the operating system layer of other technologies that we can't even remotely predict. And I think that's extremely exciting. And it's not to say that it will sort of happen linearly. It's not to say that it will happen, at the same speed everywhere. But I do think that sort of that zone of what are the novel things that these technologies will do. And, I think particularly in areas like scientific research, and sort of breakthroughs in sort of human knowledge and capability, I just think is tremendously exciting. So the answer's a little bit all over the place. I mean, I think it's going to evolve in some ways that we can predict. There are going to be some spots where we have absolutely, very little idea where it's going. And then there will be breakthroughs that really surprise us and I think sort of move human achievement and productivity forward. Yeah.
To double click on one of the comments around areas where we can predict this a little bit. So with the release of GPT-4, this was the first model, and this was part of some of the literature that we released. GPT-4 was the first model where we could actually predict some of the capabilities before we trained that model, and then validate after we trained the model whether or not those capabilities that we predicted were going to be there actually existed. And I think there's still probably a ton of work to do in that space, but it's a very positive, that was a very positive outcome to be able to know that before we go and make, a huge investment, we can get a sense of what those capabilities of these models look like. And I imagine, I think areas like public policy are probably a little bit more, it's an open problem space, more so than training machine learning models. But it's nice that at least some of these things we can sort of start to anticipate the outcomes.
Okay, guys, thank you for your explanation. I have another one last question. What are the potential achievements that OpenAI can attain through collaboration with these Korean outstanding AI-related startups in South Korea? Or what achievement does OpenAI aim to achieve through this collaboration with Korean startups?
Yeah, well, I'll start quickly. I think one thing is we're always just wanting to learn about how our tools are performing on the types of problems that are relevant to, startups and entrepreneurs, here in Korea. And so, in addition to building exciting and compelling, products and features, I think being able to sort of continue to grow the community that are submitting evaluations of where our tools aren't working well enough, whether it's in, Korean language performance or other things. And so that's sort of, I think, at bare minimum, just continuing to grow that feedback loop that we get of what's working, what's not. And then again, going back to a theme that I think has come through in, what inspires Logan and I and the company here, is just, really these tools being put to use in ways that advance, sort of the technology ecosystem, the social ecosystem, sort of real problems that entrepreneurs, businesses, everyday people want to solve. And so to see those take form, to figure out ways over time to potentially enhance that work, I think is really exciting.
Yeah, that's it's incredibly well put, James. I think the one thing that I'll add is this is such an important moment in the scope of AI history and sort of the trajectory of the future, that startups building and people who are using AI technology, it's so important that folks all across the world are doing that, because really, like, you are one of the initial stakeholders of like how the future of these tools and systems evolve, and the only way that you can sort of at least one of the most effective ways to potentially have a seat at that table is to be somebody who's building these tools, or to be somebody who's using these tools and voice your opinions and feedback. And the only way that OpenAI achieves its mission of helping everyone with this technology is if we do get this sort of diverse array of inputs from people all over the world. So I'm really excited about seeing what people are building, and there's just so many non-obvious things that I might take for granted, that we'll see some startups that are building products and services that are really taking a different look at some of these problems. So it's going to be super exciting to see, and I'm ready to dive in and see what cool stuff people are working on.
Likewise.
Yeah, now we have to do the hard part of waiting a few weeks.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Due to time limit, we have to wrap up this orientation now. For detailed questions for the program, please contact the contact information listed in the notice. Gisam and James, Logan, thank you for your time today again. Hope many startups and pre-entrepreneurs who attended this orientation session could participate in our program and get a meaningful the result. This was Myung-soo from Penn Ventures. Good luck to everyone. Okay, thank you.